And this right here is why I believe Donald Trump will win the trade war fight. First and foremost, I learned early on, I got a spanking a couple times, that when Trump makes a claim and says, this is what I'm going to do, excuse me, that is what he does. It will come true. He makes this claim, oh, it's absurd. It happens. Oh, he was right. I'm going to do this. Oh, he did. Oh, he does it. Oh, wow. Amazing. For that reason, I think he's going to win the trade war with China. A secondary reason, it's stuff like this. China's, another Zero Hedge article, China's moment of reckoning arrives. $38 billion state-owned, meaning government-owned, giant announces largest dollar bond default in over 2 decades. Now, you would think, how does a state-owned entity default? It's effing government-owned. And I think Joe Hedge is going to talk a little bit about that. 2 weeks ago, we previewed what we said would be a D-Day for China's bond market, as a massive commodities trader and Global 500 state-owned enterprise was set up for an unprecedented bond default. Now, I'm going to stop there for a second, because Donald Trump's tariffs, the trade war, we have nothing to lose and everything to gain in this country, because we were, like Donald Trump said, taken advantage of by these Democrats, giving these fire sale deals to all these external countries, including China. Trade deals were great for them, not for us. So again, we have all the cards. We own the entire card, the playing deck, so to speak. The cards, the hands are all in our favor. We had nothing to lose and everything to gain. You guys still want to do trade with us worldwide? Yeah, well, guess what? We're not playing this unfair game where the balance beam is massively lopsided. You guys got to give, and we're going to take, actually, because you've been taking from us the whole time. So we're going to take, and you're going to give. But here's the thing. We don't want to take more. We just want an even playing field. That's all Donald Trump was doing. So because all the cards are in our hand, and he put those tariffs and reversed stuff immediately, it had a detrimental effect on China's economy. That is my secondary reason for saying Donald Trump will win the trade war. China is backed into a corner. You either do it or don't. And if you don't, there's going to be another story the next day. There's going to be another story a week later, a month later. You're going to hear more of these stories. They're hemorrhaging. Any deal is better than no deal for China. Okay? Because us Americans, boy, do we consume us some China. You remember back in the day, wrestling, back when Hulk Hogan was around, there was a female lady named China. You remember her? Just thought about that. I don't know why I'm telling you that. Have a nice day. As of last week, this historic default is now in the history books after Taiwu, the closely watched Chinese commodities trader, became the biggest dollar bond defaulter among the nation's state-owned companies in 2 decades, what Bloomberg called a moment of reckoning for Beijing as China struggles to contain credit risk in a weakening economy, as bond defaults hit an all-time high and are set to keep rising in the coming years. Last Wednesday, Taiwu Group announced results of its unprecedented debt restructuring, which saw a majority of its investors accepting heavy losses, and which, according to rating agencies, qualifies as an event of default. As a result of the default, until recently seen as virtually impossible, for a state-owned company, investors' perceptions are undergoing a dramatic U-turn about government-owned borrowers whose state ownership had for years offered an ironclad sense of security. Again, maybe you should have had some gold bricks hidden under your bed or hidden somewhere instead of trusting that. No more. The fact that a state-owned enterprise such as Taiwu has now defaulted on repaying its dollar bonds in full confirms that Beijing will no longer bail out troubled SEOs, or SOEs actually, state-owned enterprise, let alone private firms, perhaps due to the strains imposed by the economy, which, while growing at just below 6%, is slowing the most it has in 3 decades, by the way. It also raises concerns over the Chinese province of Tianjin, where Taiwu is based, following a series of rating downgrades and financing difficulties suffered by some of the city's state-run firms. The metropolis near Beijing also has the highest ratio of local government financing vehicle bonds to GDP in China. As a reminder, Taiwu ranked 132 in 2018's Fortune Global 500 or Fortune 500 global list, baby. Default, gone. How could a company ever get to that list? Well, I'll tell you my opinion. Because they're all effing frauds, and they're all propped up by their central banks, their governments, which includes some of ours. Don't be surprised if some of America's Fortune 500s go belly up out of nowhere at some point. But whatever. As a reminder, it was ranked 132 in 2018, just 1 year ago. Fortune Global 500 list, higher than many other conglomerates, including service carrier China Telecoms Corporation and financial titan Citigroup Corp. It had an annual revenue. Oh, I gotta cue the scary sound. 66.6 billion. 66.6 billion. Profits of about 122 million. Assets worth 38.3 billion, and more than 17,000 employees as of 2017, according to Fortune's website. Taiwu is owned by the Tianjin government and operates in a number of industries, including infrastructure, logistics, mining, autos, and ports. Gosh, how do you default when you're in those things, huh? Oh. According to its website, it also has footprints in countries including the U.S., Germany, Japan, and Singapore. Putting last week's unprecedented event in context, since the first SOE bond default emerged in China's domestic market 4 years ago, 22 such firms have failed to make good on a combined 48.4 billion yuan or $6.9 billion US dollars onshore bonds as of this end of October, according to Guosheng Securities. However, despite periodic scares such as late repayment, Chinese SOEs had yet to suffer any high-profile default in the dollar bond market since the collapse of Guangdong International Trust and Investment Corporation in 1998. Well, there was a documentary, and when it came out, I told y'all on YouTube, hey, you ought to go check this out. And I can't even think of the name now. Maybe if one of y'all know it, write it in the comments so everyone can see it. And it was, I can't remember what it was called, but it was about these fake companies in China. And they had these investors, and then whenever someone important would come in, they'd actually hire temporary employees to come in and forklifts moving stuff and okay, yeah. And then when the person would leave, go away. They had video cameras set up because they were suspicious of this in this documentary, and they showed. And it was like 3 different companies, I think, if I remember. All trucks coming in, grabbing stuff, load the truck up, okay. And then when the person was gone, the whole place shut down. No more business, no more nothing, no one forklifts, nothing. A complete fraud. That was I don't know, 3 years ago maybe? I talked about that 2 years ago. How many other companies in China are doing that? Is that the norm? Is that why this place defaulted? I don't know. Specifically, the former Fortune Global 500 company from the northern port of Tianjin said dollar bond investors representing 57% of the total 1.25 billion have agreed to be paid just 37 to 60 cents on the dollar, depending on the maturity of bonds. See, y'all got it wrong, son. Y'all need to come over to the United States of America, where you can have complete trash worth $0, and our Federal Reserve will take that on paper and claim ownership of it, and they'll never look into it and give you 100 cents on the dollar. Y'all are doing it wrong, son. This is one form of default based on our definition, said Moody's analyst Ivan Chung. Everybody Ivan Chung tonight. Everybody Ivan Chung tonight. Pointing out that the debt restructuring has resulted in losses for investors. I'd say, again, unless you're too big to fail bank in America, we'll give you 100 cents on the dollar. The distressed exchange offer, which included hastily last week, represents a first-of-its-kind debt restructuring plan for the relatively immature Chinese bond market and for a state-run enterprise in the dollar bond market. It was rushed ahead of $300 million bond maturity on December the 16th. one of the 4 notes covered by Taibu's debt restructuring plan. To be sure, the market was not surprised. Last month, Tianjin State-owned Capital Investment and Management, Taibu's offshore debt manager, said on an investor call that Taibu was very likely to default on this paper. What do we got there? Some Q? Oh, more Q drops. Q. Pardon me while I, take a quick little look-see if you don't mind. Saw that one. There it is. Twitter, when does a B-2 bomber drop the first bomb? Bill Barr fit into 8 spaces? Reconcile graphic. Knowledge is power. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Whitaker, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Interesting. Okay. Not worth me doing a video right now. I have to decipher that a little bit more myself. But there's quite a bit more to this article. Here's the thing. When Trump says something, I believe him. I've been forced to believe him because he keeps coming through. We have everything to gain in China and the rest of the world, have everything to lose because they've had the sweetest trade deals ever. And their economies were growing, everything was great, especially China. And then we got Trump, and he said, no, I'm here for Americans, and everything that I see here is completely backwards wrong. It's so wrong, I can't believe how disgusting it is. Remember what he said. I'm not mad at any of these other foreign leaders. Hey, they did a good job. Good for you guys in your country. You did it. Good for you. But you took massive advantage of us, and the trade deals are so horrible, so bad, I will not allow them to continue. And remember, he went over there, and they're all standing at the front of the desk, old bulldog Angela Merkel. He's just standing there like this. Seriously, the pictures of him like this. Just relax it back. Yeah. Why? Because all the cards are in our hand. We have everything to gain, and they have everything to lose. That's why I'm going to trust when Trump says, oh yeah, we're getting this close on a trade deal. I believe him because what else? No trade deal with China is horrible for China. A crappy trade deal for China, but decent for us, is better for them than no trade deal, right? All these massive tariffs and everything. Oh, well, I'll remove the tariffs. We'll come to a fair trade. Okay. Again, if you're China, look, guys, we had these people in charge over there, Hillary and them. We rode that horse till it died, right? We did well. And now you can clearly see we just had a bond default in a company we're backing, state back. Let's go ahead and get this trade deal done with Mr. President Trump over there. Anything's better than nothing, right? Agreed? Yeah, 10-4. Okay. That's what I think will happen. Could I be wrong? Could I be wrong? Yeah, sure, I could. But I got a lot of faith in Mr. Trump. Take care.